Hello, welcome back to Salty Sunshine. I'm your host, Lisa, where we talk some gossip about current events, reality TV, pop culture, whatever's going on. I just like to talk, and so that's what we're doing today. I feel a little under the weather. There's COVID is still around, you guys. I don't know if you know that, but there's three people in my office that had COVID last week, and I feel like I have a little bit of a cold. It's not that bad. I don't really get sick ever since I started my elderberry syrup journey, which is a natural elixir from the sambuco plant that raises your immune system, plus all the supplements and everything. So I'm lucky I just get a little bit. I don't get a full blown, which I'm very happy about. But it's still, when you don't get sick ever and you get a little bit, you feel like the world is ending. And we'll survive. World Cup, Spain won. I'm not really into soccer, but it was exciting. I know Messi was very sad, but he did already win a World Cup, so it's not like he's finishing his career without without a win. And so I follow Kourtney Kardashian on Instagram. And yesterday I had a few minutes. I opened my phone, see what's going on in the world. Kourtney posted a new post with a photo dump, carousel photos. I'm scrolling, I'm looking. And the last photo, she had, what's her baby's name? Rocky. She had Rocky laying on her, and the angle's kind of if you're holding your hand out to take a selfie. And this woman's boob, her left boob, Rocky's on her right boob, the camera's closer to her left boob. Her entire nipple is protruding. It's very long, like somebody's been sucking on it for 2 days. It's very long, it's protruding, and I was shocked. I was taken back, and I went straight to the comments. All the comments were, girl, look at your last photo. Girl, I know you didn't mean to post this. Girl, your last photo, your nipples out. I don't think you meant to post this. Within minutes, it was deleted. I guess once she noticed, or her publicist or someone said, hey, your nipple is there. I'm sure people screenshotted it, which is gross, but she definitely didn't mean to do that. And it's just so funny because that can happen, right? You're just doing a bunch of stuff. You're looking at all these photos. How did she not notice the nipple? It wasn't that noticeable when you looked at the photo right away. And then you look around and you're like, oh, it was so funny. She deleted it. And then somebody commented, I don't know what, and she said laughing. She's like crying with crying emojis. And then someone else said something, don't be ashamed of your breastfeeding, whatever. And she said, I'm laughing, crying. She was embarrassed, but it was hilarious that she, like a grandma, was senile for 2 minutes and posted that. So that was really funny. Alicia has a sense of humor about it, but everyone saw her ginormous nipple. It was huge. Not huge, long. It was so long and right in your face because it was what was closest to the camera. It was so funny. But I'm glad I haven't seen it circulating everywhere. Like people aren't, sharing it that I've seen. But of course, then MJ, her grandma, passed away at age 91. Very, very sad. What a legacy she left behind. She is, a warrior, 91. I mean, how old do we want to live, She was already, I think, in a wheelchair, and she didn't seem, I don't know. I don't know what she had, what ailment she had, but it's sad because anything at that age, even younger, in your 80s, anything can really go downhill quickly, and you don't even see it coming. But rest in peace, MJ. I never heard Chris talk about her dad. I don't know. I don't know. I know they got divorced when she was little. I don't know when he died. I know Kris Jenner's sister died a few years back, which probably really affected her mom's health as well, because to have a child die is awful. And huge news on Nicolandria. They finally, quote unquote, broke up, even though we know they've never been an item from the beginning. So they basically are lying, saying that they broke up, even though they were never a thing. And apparently somebody posted something to that effect, and Nicolandria threatened to sue, which is silly. Nicolandria, relax. It's not that deep and it's not that important. And nobody believes, the people that believe that are the same people that believe, I don't know, all these conspiracy theories because there's no way you thought they were a couple. They didn't pick each other. They were thrown together on a show, had zero chemistry. Even when they kissed, they said, nah, we'll pass. And how could you think that they're a couple? The fact that it lasted this long, the fakery is insane. I have a feeling they came out and quote unquote broke up because now there's rumors that she was dating, who was it? Tyga? No. I think Kylie Jenner's ex, whatever his name is, the rapper. They were saying that she was dating him and she said they weren't. But, anyways, she's probably trying to start dating someone else now, so they have to let the charade go. And of course, Nick from Nicolandria is hanging out with all the new Love Islander cast on their promo stuff. Kenzie was on Call Her Daddy. Kenzie, I love you, but we need to learn how to dress. These girls, some of them come off the island and they keep dressing as if they're still on the show in public, in a Starbucks, in general public, and it's not okay. These shorts going up your butthole and the stripper heels, it's not cute. You know, yes, it looks indecent and all that, but it's more about, for me, it doesn't look good. You don't look like you're dressed well. You don't look hot. You look kind of silly. So she was in I forgot what store it was. Oh, Let Me I guess did a collab and there was an ice cream spot. She was doing splits in the middle of the store wearing nothing, and I think that's so crazy. And she was on Call Her Daddy again, dressed like she's gonna clean her car. She's like in flip flops and the shortest shorts and the little sports bra. Why would you go on a podcast dressed like that? Is beyond. But she really didn't say much because Alex Cooper is the worst interviewer of all time. I don't listen to Call Her Daddy because of that. I get nothing out of the interviews. I have listened to, if I'm really interested in someone, I just want to see what they want to, have to say. I'll listen, but I never feel like I got anything out of it. I feel the conversations are so superficial and there's no good follow-up questions. I don't know. I don't find that I get anything out of the interviews, but I will listen to someone that I like just out of curiosity. But there's nothing to be said. So she basically said nothing, and that's it. Her and Dylan are still going strong. She did tell Alex that she learned how to do fellatio from her. Now, I understand being authentic and stuff, but that's a little crude. No, that wasn't necessary. Parents are listening to this and young girls, it's just not a cute way to act in public. I'm not saying to be all demure and never say bad words or anything, but that's a little much. And you could tell Alex wanted to skip right over that part. I think she's trying to detach herself from her old image. And when Kenzie kept bringing it up, she was like, oh, girl, you're crazy. But she wouldn't elaborate. And you could tell it made her a little bit uncomfortable. So, yeah, that was a nothing burger, that interview. So, Chelsea Handler. I think she just had a book come out, and then I think she copied and pasted an excerpt from her book onto Instagram. It's a few pages, and she's basically telling her friends and family that when she invites them on vacation or to visit or whatever, all the rules of life and the rules of her home and how to behave. I'm not going to read it. It's really long. I thought it was very bizarre. I think it's something really weird to share. I think when we get older, which I'm fighting against with all my might, people get weird as they get older, especially women, men too, but especially women. They cross the line between being authentic and blunt and truthful, and they get a little weird and overshare things that nobody is comfortable listening to. I think this is one of those things. I don't know what she thinks she's doing a service for everybody. She thinks all the dysfunctional families are going to read this and say, oh, okay, sure. I'm never going to, not clean up after myself, or I'm going to be so nice to all the help if there's help, or whatever rules that she put in that post. It's not going to do anything but make people cringe. And then the people that she invites over, I wouldn't want to go back to her house because she's talking about me. She's talking about everyone that she's ever invited over to her homes or whatever on trips. That was weird. Diddy's twin daughters are promoting a clothing line, and so they were on this interview and they're just supportive of their dad. they said, this is our clothing line, and because they were asked if they felt uncomfortable being in the spotlight because of what's happening with their dad. They said absolutely not, that they support him and blah, blah, blah. So his family's right behind him. I don't know if they don't believe the charges, although there's video of his behavior, or they just think it's okay, or they hate Cassidy so much that they think she deserved it. So either way, that whole family's screwed up. And yeah, their mom, the twins' mom, must be rolling in her grave, watching all this go down. Diddy apparently is in a solitary because he got in a fight wherever he is, serving time. Who cares? The Ultimatum. Oh my gosh, I binge watched the Ultimatum last week, a little late. And then the reunion just came out now with the finale. It was so good. I really enjoyed this season 4, and for the first time in Ultimatum history, Casey and David's a really tall one. Casey is long blonde hair, and Casey was paired up with Luke, right? Yeah. The guy that needs to be a firefighter. He's very soft spoken, and Luke is with Monica. So they got engaged, and they asked Nick Lachey to marry them on the reunion, which he did because he is an officiant or whatever you call that, and whatever. That was cute. I don't know if I see them. I don't know. There's something off with them. I feel like she's very into David, but David's not equally into her, and I don't know if it's because I think there's something off with David. I can't put my finger on it. I really think I thought David was really into Monica when he was paired up with Monica and they switched off. I don't know. I thought he was gonna try to make it with Monica at some point. I don't see it, but hopefully everything goes well and they get married and they're happy. Then Haley and Blake, one of the two very toxic couples on the show, they left engaged, but they since broke up, and on the reunion they were just talking about, oh, since the reunion, Blake was arrested for some sort of domestic violence, but all charges were dropped and expunged, and Haley put out a statement that he didn't do any of those things. I wasn't there. We can only guess, but I believe that because I think Blake, although he's super annoying and you probably want to punch him in the face because he talks too much, Haley is a nightmare. I think Haley is a huge walking red flag. I think Haley baits him. I think she pushes him to the brink, and he doesn't seem like a violent guy. I'm not saying that doesn't mean he didn't do anything, but if he was violent, why would she put out a statement? And she said he made her do it, or no, he asked her to do it. Well, even if he asked you to do it, why would you do it? I just find her behavior to be so out of control. I just don't believe her. I think she's a drama queen. She cries. I don't know. I don't know what happened that night. I'm sure they had a huge fight, but they're not together anymore. So that's that. Um, Ashley and Killian. So Ashley's the one that her parents live in Texas, and then Killian's the one that he had his friends on group chat talking about Haley's small boobs and her looks and about his friends changing the type of show and they were going to get it, whatever. So stupid. Killian is obviously a loser. He needs major, I don't know, hypnotherapy or something to kind of change his, you could tell his mindset is screwed. But Ashley and him left engaged on the final show, and then they've had since broken up because they just continue the toxic behavior. And Killian was on Biofiles, and Nick and everyone else on there didn't believe a word he said. They didn't think he was sincere. It was a very awkward interview, and Killian was just trying to justify. Basically, they got in this one big fight, and she broke up with him, and he broke her phone and threw her phone. She was hiding from him, and he had broken his legs. He was in a wheelchair. She was still hiding from him when she came home. And he was just kind of saying that there was more context, but that's the kind of person, you don't do that. A man doesn't hit a woman, so it doesn't matter what the context is, right? So he was just trying to give so much context. Everyone was like, who cares about the context? You're not supposed to do that. So he obviously is still has a lot of work to do. They're not together anymore. And Monica and Luke, they're engaged and they're doing well. The firefighter and the trainer, workout trainer. And then Jessica and Idris, they left. They're the couple that at the right before they were going to switch off couples and leave their partner. Idris got up, got the ring, and proposed to Jessica because he didn't want to switch partners and he didn't want to go through the rest of the process. But then once they left the show, she said he went right back to his old ways. They started to fight. They had all this stuff going on. So at the reunion, which was taped, I guess, a few weeks ago, they were broken up and bickering or whatever. But then they were on Biofiles, and they, since the reunion, have gone back together because they both put in the work and are really working on themselves and working together and figuring it out. So they're now back. They were engaged, broke up, got back together since the reunion. And Idris is the one that the way he would talk to people, and I think the way the couple that got kicked off because the Indian guy was like so weird. His girlfriend, or now ex-girlfriend, the way Idris would talk to her, I don't know. He's like, I just wanted to look at you. And she's like, okay, this is weird. He seemed a little predatorial or just off. That's what I got from Idris. But apparently he's working on himself, but there's something off with him. But anyways, so they're back together. That was the Ultimatum. I really liked it. I don't think there's a part two. I think that was it. But it was good. And then I got on this kick. I got on this kick last weekend. Oh my gosh. I watched Shipwrecked on Netflix. Holy cow, if you haven't seen that, I wasn't prepared. I just put it on. I woke up. I don't know. I had my coffee. I was like, oh, let me put this on. I wasn't prepared. I thought it was just going to be something that happened on the ship, but I didn't realize it was a mini Titanic. It was the craziest story. I was so choked up. I was on the edge of my seat. I had anxiety. The captain of the ship is serving 16 years, which is not enough for what he did. It's such a good documentary. You should go watch it. It's about an Italian cruise line ship that the captain wanted to veer off path and go closer to Giglio Island off of Italy, and he blames it on the guy taking direction from him, but he should have never gone off path anyways. But they got too close to the island and hit a huge rock, and the rock put a huge hole in the middle of the boat, and the boat was filling with water, and he wouldn't sound the alarm. Everybody was telling, that you can't really, I think you're not supposed to go against the captain or something. There's all these rules, but he wouldn't sound the alarm. He literally killed a lot of people because he wouldn't tell anybody the truth. And then the lights went off and everybody felt the crash. So they knew something was wrong. So they're all fleeing to where the deck is, where all the boats are. And he's telling everyone to go back to the room and there's only a blackout. He's not saying that their water's filling up. And even the Coast Guards off the island were trying to help at some point because all the passengers were calling everyone they could to get help off the boat. And he kept telling them there was a blackout. That he wouldn't tell them the boat was filling up with water and they needed help. So he delayed rescue for an hour. The boat started tipping. It was so bad. And there's all these people telling you their experience of how they got off. And some people thought they weren't going to get off. And it was really scary. And they couldn't use some of the boats because the boat was tipping so much. The boats couldn't launch. So that's a really good documentary. The captain is Francesco. He's serving jail time. Manrico Giampadroni was some sort of restaurant manager or something, and he was the one that was really trying. He knew something was wrong and what was happening was so bad. So he went through the boat and he fell through something and landed in the restaurant area that was already filled with water in the dark and broke his legs, and he was stuck there for 2 days or 3 days until they found him. And it was, thank God, because I was going to die if he died. 32 people died, including a 5-year-old, which is disgusting. This one couple had a baby, and when they first heard the shook of the boat, they knew something was wrong, and they heard people running or whatever, and they left the room holding the baby without a baby holder, without a stroller, without anything to keep the baby comfortable, and they left a pacifier in the cabin. I mean, can you imagine going up all these steps? You're tired, you're holding a baby, the baby's wailing, screaming. The baby has no pacifier, the baby has no food, the baby has no water, the baby has no diapers. You're slammed like sardines on the 4th floor deck where all the boats are for hours, not knowing what's happening. with a screaming baby. That I would have gone back to the cabin at least to grab baby stuff because it's going to be a long night. I don't know. That part was the most stressful part of the whole documentary for me. The baby holding the baby like that. It's really good. Then I saw the show The Predator of Seville on Netflix. This high school college student did this either excursion or not exchange, but this thing in Spain. And they went with this company that does these excursions in a certain part of Sevilla. And the owner of that company was a lifelong predator. And he took advantage of all these people from out of the country. He would drug them. He would be all nice saying, let's go get drinks. Now, again, if I think back when I was young, but I was always very protective of myself because I'm fearful of everything. But I just don't understand if you're a young girl and you have two roommates in your hotel and you go to the rooftop bar and the head of the excursion company comes and says, hey, let me buy you a drink. I would take the drink at the bar hotel, but I wouldn't, when he said, let's go back to your room, I'll order us some more champagne. That's why I would have said, no, no, thank you. I don't know. Like, I know girls, you don't think about it, but I would have because I'm scared of everything. And he's older. So that wouldn't be appealing to me. And in a room, I don't want to go drink in a room with you. So I would have left it at that. But he drugged them. He did all this stuff and she didn't say anything. And the next day he didn't even look at her and he acted like nothing. And when she got back home, she was supposed to go to college. And she came back from college and broke down because she was so depressed and she couldn't handle what happened to her because she knew what happened to her because she woke up and she was all sore. And then she went to the bathroom and he came in and stuck his penis in her. I don't know. He did something else. So she knew something happened and it was killing her. And she finally said something to her parents and she launched this investigation and reached out and started posting on Facebook, and all these other girls started coming forward saying that something similar happened to them. And she got all this story and it was incredible because it's really hard to prosecute someone in another country with no evidence. And they did a Zoom trial at the end and he got convicted, which was amazing. So I watched that and then watched this weird thing, The Murder of Rachel Nichol on Netflix. I didn't finish it. It was a little weird. This little boy was the only witness to his mom's brutal stabbing in London, I think, and they're reenacting it. It was a little weird, so I don't recommend watching that one. And then I got on this kick to watch Worst Ex Ever on Netflix. It was such a good show. I think there's 2 seasons. It's just all these stories about an ex that did awful things to them, and not necessarily the people are alive. So I don't know if there might have been murder in a few, but not. This is just about a really bad ex that maybe stole or hurt you or beat you or almost killed you, but didn't and ended up killing someone else or whatever. So it's called Worst Ex Ever on Netflix. Amazing show. I was just on this true crime kick. And to add to that, you just get into a mood. You get into a mood and that's what you feel like watching. So I always feel like watching that, but I was particularly obsessed with watching all this stuff. And then I also listen to these podcasts that talk about real stories. So I'm watching that at home and then while I'm working, I'm hearing all these crazy stories on the podcast. I listened to this one podcast called We're All Insane, just different crazy stories. And then another one, Rise Above with Kevin Lanning, a bunch of crazy stories about drug use and how they got out of it, how it affected their life, all that. So yeah, it's been a dark period for me. It's just interesting to hear people's stories. I really enjoy like true stories. And then the David trial, David D. Ford, VD, whatever, the rapper that killed and mutilated the 14-year-old Celeste Rivas. There was a preliminary trial, so now it lands in the judge's hands to see if there's enough evidence to go to court, which is insane. A case like this should not have a pretrial. I mean, it's pretty obvious something awful happened. So it stands in Judge Charlene Olmedo is weighing whether sufficient evidence exists to order the 21-year-old musician to stand trial for murder, dismemberment, and sexual abuse of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. He has pled not guilty, which is crazy with all this evidence. LAPD testified that DNA matching the victim was found in 11 locations across Burke's garage and his Tesla, where her decomposing remains were discovered in the front trunk. In September 2025, the medical examiner testified that the victim died from multiple penetrating sharp force injuries to the upper body, including wounds to the chest and abdomen. Detectives presented text messages and explicit photos recovered from Burke's phone and iCloud alongside purchase records for items bought under an alias, including chainsaws, body bags, and an inflatable pool allegedly used during the dismemberment. Then they also said that there was a financial motive because he made $10 to $11 million between 23 and 25. So they argued a fueled motive to silence her. And they did also mention that she was pregnant at least once during their relationship. And her family was obviously in the courtroom and seeing all these photos. I think there was a photo of just her head and her torso, missing limbs. All this really gross stuff. Got very graphic, apparently. I know her parents are probably really struggling, but what the hell were they doing letting her hang out with this rapper that much or ever? Or I don't know. It's really hard to be a parent of teenagers. It's the scariest thing you'll ever go through, especially with girls, even guys. There's so much that can go wrong. The type of friends they hang out with, who they talking to. You have to check their online stuff, their DMs. Is some creep getting in their DMs? Are they lying? Some old man pretending to be young or whatever. The drugs, it's so much, but it's a lot of hard work, and you cannot just sit back and think it's going to blow over, because the smallest little thing like this can turn into a huge change in your life, loss of life. And there's a lot of fighting involved and a lot of your kid hating your guts, but too bad, it's what comes with the job, and you got to do it, because if not, really bad things can happen. And I'm sure that's not what they should focus on right now, but I just feel she was let down in that way, because I mean, when I was 13, 14, we don't know anything. What are we doing? We have no idea what anything's, what it means, what can happen. And then there's another situation going on now that happened over the 4th of July. The family of Nolan Xavier Wells is searching for answers about what led to their 18-year-old athlete's death during a 4th of July trip with friends off Mississippi's Gulf Coast. Though Wells traveled by boat with his friends to Horn Island, he didn't return with the group that afternoon as planned. His body was found 2 days later off the island's coast. An independent autopsy commissioned by the family was inconclusive, and the Mississippi Sheriff's Department investigating Wells' death hasn't made a public statement. Wells' parents say the tragedy is riddled with conflicting stories and missing details. There's a lot of holes. They have to get to the bottom of it. He was a football player. He was so young. This is so sad, and I feel like this is one of those things, unless someone that was there confesses, it's really hard to know what happened. Wells' mother, Christine, became concerned when one of his friends called around 11 p.m. on July 4th. After trying to track her son down on her own, she reported him missing to the police. One of Wells' friends had also reported him missing to the U.S. Coast Guard. Wells didn't make it back to the mainland, but his phone and car keys did. Wansley used an app to track Wells' phone, and after a friend went to where it was on land to pick it up, noticed that some of his messages appeared to be deleted. Wells' father, Elmore Wansley, went to retrieve his son's keys from the boat, which was at the home where Wells had stayed with his friends the night before their trip. He said his son's car was still parked in the yard. The day after Wells' body was found, Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter said Wells' friends were cooperating with authorities and that investigators did not suspect foul play. Ledbetter said people interviewed by investigators said Wells chose to stay on the island with the assumption that he was going to ride back to the mainland with someone else. Crump said another witness reported Wells had planned to leave on the boat with his friends. The independent autopsy found the cause of death is undetermined. And Dr. Roger Mitchell, the forensic pathologist who performed the autopsy, wrote in the report that he could not rule out the possibility that non-accidental factors contributed to or caused the death. He listed the cause of death as undetermined. So why was his phone and his keys? Well, he could have left his phone and his keys on the boat. Like, again, we don't know. And unless somebody speaks up, because someone knows something. Because even if he told his friends, I want to hang out back Who was he going to hang out back with? Who did he stay with? They have to know that information. So I don't know what's going on. It's really sad. It's a cute photo of him. He was a football player. Uh, let's see. The Reverend Al Sharpton, he gave a eulogy and promised a $100,000 reward for any new information about the circumstances, which I think is a mistake because someone can just come forward and lie, but for money, I don't know if that's credible. Half the sum will be covered by the actor and producer Tyler Perry, who also paid for the funeral. An additional $25,000 was pledged by former NFL Terrell Owens. Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick paid the independent autopsy. Shouldn't that be on the cops? Oh, I guess a separate autopsy from the state. They're trying to blame this on racism. I think that's such a broad blanket. I mean, I'm sorry. If you're of another race, does that mean you're not an asshole? Does that mean you didn't screw up? Does that mean you didn't do something? That's such a hard thing to. It's a broad statement that's hard to really pin down. But too many things don't add up. Why would a teenager leave his phone behind if they plan to stay on the island? Why did no one else see Wells drowned or a person struggling in the water? Why did one witness report Wells planned to leave on the boat with his friends, while others apparently told the sheriff he had decided to stay behind? Again, how much was he drinking? Who was he staying behind with? There's a lot of unknowns. I'm going to keep following this. I think this is so sad. I feel, again, going back to parenting, when you have kids this age, all these holiday weekends are just a thorn in your side. They're so scary. You think it's an innocent trip here, a boat right here, a party there, and then all hell breaks loose and your life changes forever. It's really sad. But I will continue to, I'll talk about it if anything new comes out in the next week. And I think that's all I have for you. You guys can follow me on Salty Sunshine Podcast on all forms of social media. Have a wonderful rest of your day and be your best selves. Bye.